What's going on, everybody? Simple back at it like I'm checking my height. Today we are checking out David Cross's Why America Sucks at Everything. If you guys enjoy this, make sure you head on over and support the content creator, as always. And if you want to get your requests up here, make sure you check out the Google form down in the description below. And as you're passing through the description, make sure you check out the Creator Consortium. It's where we do live reactions and stuff. We're all hanging out and stuff. I'm actually filming this live in there right now. So you're missing out. I'm just saying. Gotta get in there. All right, let's go. Oh. The rat pageant. Great. See, they probably had to move that back to 7 o'clock. I bet you they had the rat pageant scheduled for 6, but then the America is Bad at Everything came up, so it was like, no, we have to move that up. So I'm sure there was a rescheduling for this.
America is the greatest country on earth, the strongest, the richest, the most powerful country on earth. As an American, I'm sure you've heard that roughly 135 times a year. 235 if you go to public school. 335 if you go to a Christian academy. We're told that Americans have the best lives of any people in the world, that we have low taxes, small government, and the highest living standards on earth. And most inaccurately, that we're the freest. Well, it is partly true. America is the richest country, not just in the world, but in the history of the world. It's really hard to comprehend just how rich we are. We have 18 million people who are millionaires. American households own about $100 trillion in wealth, an almost unthinkable amount of money. Okay, so America is the richest country ever. But there's a curious paradox. Most Americans actually have a much worse standard of living than people who live in poorer countries like Germany or Finland or Britain. But how can that be?
Now, the thing I do want to point out, though, is that people own, like, it's across 328 million people, depending on when this video was made, you know? So it's not like everybody has just a bunch of money, right? The American dream is broken down into you can build a small business, and if it does really, really well, then you get to make a lot of money, right? Like that's how it is in America. So, but
in poorer countries like
we'll get into
Germany or Finland or Britain, but how can that be? That shouldn't make any sense. Well, here's the shitty deal. Americans get significantly worse services because our tax dollars don't fund them. So of course our services are worse, and thus we enjoy less happy lives than people who live in the aforementioned countries. Not that difficult a concept to conceive, really. You get what you pay for, said the cartoon dog to the other cartoon dog. And while you might think the reason American tax dollars don't fund as many services is because we pay lower taxes than other countries, that's not even true. When you add federal, state, local, and sales taxes and include other costs and services that our taxes don't cover but other countries' taxes do, like our uniquely high health insurance premiums, you'll find that Americans actually give away more of their wages than most of the developed world. For example, in Canada, for a married worker with 2 kids, all of the previously mentioned costs combined, from taxes to health insurance premiums, make up only 11% of the average wage. In the UK, it's just about 26%. Meanwhile, once you tack on the cost of our outlandish health insurance premiums, you're spending a whopping 43% of your paycheck. That's more than France, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. In real reality, Americans keep much less of what we own than in other countries. In other countries, their government takes a bit more tax, but then gives that money back to their citizens in the form of healthcare or job support, or a general safety net for all vulnerable citizens, no matter how dusky they are. So what do Americans get for the money
kind of
we
a learning
pay in?
experience for myself as well
sure.
here.
We get a crumbling infrastructure, shameful homelessness, and millions of hungry, neglected children, but we also get some of the worst services in the developed world. Again, our healthcare. American healthcare is simultaneously the most expensive, the least efficient, and the least effective healthcare system in the developed world. Hey, the devil's trifecta. And in exchange for this extremely expensive, inefficient healthcare system, what do we get? Well, we get some of the worst health outcomes in the developed world. We have fewer hospital beds per capita than people in Turkey or Brunei. Americans have a lower life expectancy than people in Lebanon or Cuba. And in the Mississippi Delta and much of Appalachia, life expectancy is lower than in Bangladesh. In fact, in 2017, the United Nations sent a commissioner to West Virginia to document what he saw, and he described, quote, third world conditions of absolute poverty, unquote. We even have a higher infant mortality rate than people in Russia and Serbia. In every single metric, America does worse across the board.
Well, damn!
So why is healthcare so expensive? Because it's so complicated. You have to look for in-network physicians, schedule an established care appointment, beg for coverage from your insurance company that couldn't care less about you, and that's if you're lucky enough to have good insurance. Compare that.
If I want to go to the doctor, I would have to reschedule through disability, which I don't even get full disability. I only get the laugh-in-your-face disability, and they've even docked me like it's so stupid. And part of the problem is that while they'll cover medications, they don't really cover it, you know? And that's a big problem. That's a big problem. While you have other states that have overages of medications that get sent to people, like medication is one of the highest things aside from like one-time copays, for instance. Like you go to the doctor and it's gone down in recent years, I guess. But it's just, I don't know. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy how much money you have to spend just to get into a doctor, let alone what happens afterwards, you know, all of those pieces that you have to pay, regardless of if insurance covers a portion of it or not. And then, like, if you ride in an ambulance, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. That's the whole hospital bill, basically. That's like, it's silly how much it costs just to get yourself health care. That's why I can't go to I won't go to the doctor. I don't have enough money to saved up to even have a procedure done. And while they'll take payments and stuff like that, great. But in the long run, who does that really help? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, honestly.
That to Britain and all of those other evil, socialist-like countries where it's simple. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it. That's it. I'll repeat that. Public hospitals provide free treatment to people who need it.
Now, the biggest problem here in America, too, is there's a lot of people that will take advantage of the system and exploit it for everything they possibly can just to be able to turn around and either abuse those things that they're getting or sell them to people and try to make a profit. Like, there's a reason why, you know, free healthcare just doesn't fly. Not to mention the amount of money that we actually put into our military and things like that. Like that's a big cost. That's a big cost. I mean,
and here's the best part. Even though Britain offers healthcare for free, their system is actually a lot cheaper to run than ours. Per capita healthcare spending in the US is almost 3 times what it is in Britain, and almost 5 times what Canadians spend. In fact, Americans spend the most per person of any country in the world for healthcare. But the free market is more efficient, you screech. But in America, private systems often aren't efficient at all. Private drug companies have an incentive to charge whatever they can get away with for pharmaceuticals.
That is very true. When I realized that people walked into the doctor's office with briefcases to sell the doctor's pills and things to push to people, instead of using this brand, use this brand because our company's new and we're going to give you incentives to sell or, well, essentially sell these pharmaceuticals to people. And that just seems really shady to me. That's the biggest part of healthcare that I really have never understood is how can they be so shady and charge so much for procedures that honestly don't even dictate that price. Like the machines don't even cost that much. How are we paying for 20 machines every time we have a procedure? Like, sell my house just to... it's silly.
Carton of insulin costs about $20. In the US, it costs $300. And with private insurance companies footing the bill, hospitals have an incentive to get as much money out of patients as possible, too. In 2015, the average cost of an MRI scan in the US was $1,119, but it was only $215 in Australia. Spain, about $181. And our healthcare system is so inefficient that we spend over a third of our cost on administration. The United States spends significantly more on administration than we spend on preventative or long-term healthcare.
And that comes from people wanting better wages and things not being there to kind of make up for it. Like, just because they get better wages and now we have to pay more doesn't mean we have better wages that we're making. Like, there's no equality when it comes to that. You know what I mean? When our hospital bills go up, you don't get more money from anything. Like, you make the same wage and hope to God for a raise. Like, that's all you can do. Raises aren't guaranteed. Like, hell, jobs aren't even guaranteed in New Hampshire. Like, it's not a right to work. You know, there's termination at will. They don't even have to give you a reason here. They can just be like, I'm sorry, your assistance is no longer needed. And then you're done. That's it. So, and then half the time they don't even pay you what you're worth anyway. Like, it doesn't matter how much experience you have or anything like that. People in business, especially smaller businesses, try to get the most out of everything they possibly can. And it's understandable because looking at it from the business aspect, you have to kind of get the most you can out of everything, right? You don't want to pay that much. So it's this constant teeter-totter battle between people that need to work and spend money and business owners. It's kind of funny.
That's just not smart. Okay, we get it. We all know that American healthcare is so much more expensive, you say, but that's the cost of having the freest freedom in God's favorite country. Well, guess what? Medical procedures that are totally
I love this guy
free
just chilling on. I love how he uses the animation of the dude just chilling on the couch, like
favorite country. Well,
that guy was
what?
so happy in the
Medical
beginning.
procedures that are totally free in Britain, like giving birth, cost tens of thousands of dollars in the United States. I mean, you want to talk about the cost of freedom. Sadly, because of these high costs, Americans often avoid going to the doctor, something almost half the population say they do.
Talked about earlier.
With shoddy or non-existent health insurance, Americans will wait until their conditions force them into the emergency room where treatment is far more expensive.
Yep.
Again, not a smart system. Quite often, they end up putting off medical visits and dying. Susan Finley, a 53-year-old Walmart employee in Colorado, got pneumonia and took one day off of work beyond what Walmart's policy allows. So of course, Walmart's gonna Walmart, which they did by firing her.
Yep.
Without her job, she lost...
And there it is, right there. Just because their policy, there's no humanity behind anything. There's nothing humane about it. It's not like, oh, you're really sick. I'm sorry, you're a person. It's, oh, we can't make money from you today. I'm sorry, you're fired. That's not right.
Her nominal health care coverage, she struggled to find new work, and after avoiding a visit to the doctor for flu-like symptoms, she was found dead in her apartment.
That's sad.
When Americans do manage to get treated, they frequently can't afford it. Simple, life-saving treatments can cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and if they don't have really good insurance, they're forced to take on medical debt.
Yep.
Tens of millions of Americans owe medical debt, often into the tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, in a country like
True
Britain
Life,
or Norway,
MTV True Life, I have $30,000 in medical debt. That's awesome. That is so awesome.
medical debt is almost unheard of. But hey,
Fucking MTV.
that's
I
why
hate what they've
GoFundMe
turned
is such
into.
a
It's so
critical
stupid.
component of American healthcare. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. I'll repeat that. 1 in 3 GoFundMe campaigns is now for medical bills. America is such a strong, powerful, rich, and great country that its citizens have to beg strangers on the internet for money so they can get life-saving treatments that are free in the rest of the developed world.
Imagine that.
But hey, that's just healthcare. Americans get terrible deals wherever you look. Let's take work, for example. Americans work longer hours than people in any other rich country in the world, and that's not because they enjoy sleep deprivation and not seeing their families for days at a time. It's because they don't want to starve, or freeze, or die. See, America has the least generous job support programs, the least generous family benefits, and the least generous unemployment benefits of any wealthy country. It's one of the only countries on Earth that doesn't guarantee paid time off for vacations. It doesn't even help provide paid time off for parents who just had a child.
Normally, paid time off comes from managers. Managers. That's it. Like, and that's for like retail jobs, for like fast food jobs, not like the high paying, you know, I don't even want to say government jobs, because government jobs aren't even high paying. And I can't speak for government jobs. Like, I have no idea how the government runs their own facilities. But like Walmart, for example, you probably don't get paid vacation time. You probably don't even get paid sick time. You probably get like 3 days a year of sick time, maybe. You know what? Like, it's so stupid how everybody runs things here. And some businesses started giving maternity leave, but I don't know many of them that pay you for maternity leave. Like, they're not paying you to have kids, you know? Because that's another thing that people will abuse in this country, is having a bunch of children. Because people will pay you for, like, there is a system out there that pays you to have children in America. And it's sad. It's just really sad that...
And it's not coincidental that we're also one of the most hostile countries to workers' rights. America has one of the lowest unionization rates in the entire world. Maybe this deprivation, our refusal to give people the means to lead a good, dignified life commensurate with how rich our country is, can explain a bit of what we've seen in the United States over the last few decades. Fraying communities, rising rates of depression and suicide, huge numbers of deaths from drug overdoses. These so-called deaths of despair, suicide, drug overdoses, alcoholic liver disease, they're one big reason why American life expectancy has actually started to decline over the last few years. And with such poor conditions, it's not a surprise that poverty is so rampant in the United States. America devotes a smaller percentage of spending on social welfare than any other industrialized economy because, say it with me, socialism is evil. It's evil. Go to Denmark and try telling those happy, healthy families enjoying their paid vacation that their system of government
I know the
is
Dutchies
evil.
are watching me right now.
Guess what? I guarantee they'll know you're an American. But I digress.
Yes.
America also has the highest rate of child poverty of any developed country, and the highest percentage of workers earning significantly less than the national median income. That seems pretty evil to me, especially since such a tiny fraction take as much of your money for themselves and their families as you will let them. All the while, both parties smile and shake hands. Across every single metric, no people accept a worse deal than Americans today. High taxes, high cost of living for next to nothing in return from the government. The most expensive healthcare system for the worst health outcomes. More money taken from workers for the highest rate of child poverty. We are the richest country in the history of the world, but we have fewer miles of high-speed rail than Uzbekistan. We are the greatest country in the world, yet we have the most people in prison of any country, and the highest incarceration rate as well, and a higher rate of police killings than in Angola and Sudan. America is bad at everything because instead of choosing to make life better for people through a public healthcare system or more generous childcare policies or better public transit or programs that allow people to spend more time with their families, American law is designed and crafted to protect a class of parasitical middleman industries. Instead of using a proportionally tiny piece of the massive amount of the wealth in this country to make people's lives healthier and happier, most of our elected leaders are and have been for generations engaged in a massive project of
shipping and sending more things.
And
you have to
lovingly
protect the
guiding
middleman,
as much money as possible from working people into the pockets of the well-connected and the ultra-rich. Think about that.
The rich get richer
as we
and the
start
poor get
hearing
poorer.
about the
That's what they always
inevitable
say
rise
here.
in homelessness, poverty, starvation, and sickness that will occur during these coming months and years in the greatest, strongest, richest, most powerful country on the face of the earth.
Oh, that's
I'm
rough.
David Cross for the Gravel Institute.
All right. That was David Cross. explaining a little bit of why America sucks at everything. Definitely let me know what you guys think. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things that we can fix, but as an American, I don't hate this country at all. I am very proud to be an American. There's a lot of things that everybody can fix, you know, and having bad health care, kind of like population control in a way, unfortunately. It is what it is. We have a lot of people. It's definitely not an excuse to not fix it, but when the rich get rich, they enjoy it. So that's kind of what the American dream was built upon. Should there be sanctions put in place to stop and guide things like this? Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% stand behind that. But that's the thing, we as the people have to be able to do that together, and we as the people don't stand together on anything. We're so divided through every intersect possible that you couldn't have that many people. You couldn't have enough people to change something, stand on one side and change it. That's part of the problem. And you see small things happen through states, and though that's where you find the people that have stood together. But I don't know. It's weird. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Definitely put in your request through the Google form. Hit up the Creator Consortium. Check out one of the other videos floating around before you take off, and I will catch you on the next one.